Okay. Happy Friday, everybody. It's May 21st, and you're not going to believe all the stuff that's going on right now in the real estate market. Hearing stories from our real estate agents, not only around the country, but specifically here in the villages and in Central Florida, in Ocala, all the things that are happening. And honestly, we're really, for certain people, we're recommending, like, outside the villages, we do have some first-time homeowner, home buyer type of properties where we're recommending that, you know what, keep renting, because it may not be advisable for you to buy right now, not because of pricing, not because of some kind of housing bubble, that type of thing. I've had my license since 1998, been in business since 2000, started the brokerage back in 2004, Realty Executives in Ocala, Realty Executives in the villages, and we have seen quite a bit of a difference over the years, but quite a bit of a difference. I've been having this conversation with several people. There's been a big difference in the real estate market since January. Okay. And for those of you that have been, kind of following me around, there's several of you here. We've got, I think, 381 subscribers. Please subscribe, by the way, because there's a lot of interesting things that I'm going to be sharing over the next just forever, including some tips on how to buy, how to sell. I keep real estate contracts near me because I am the broker, obviously, and it's my job to have that around. But I want to tell you that we really need to really look at. Yes, thank you. Snowbound is asking me about when will prices drop. We're going to talk about that today. I'm going to address that for sure. And Carrie, my favorite assistant, is actually walking out the door. We're going to make her famous as we're live on YouTube right now, so she's going to enjoy that. Sorry about that. Carrie, you need to subscribe. So that was Carrie. So actually, by the way, we do a little bit of a rabbit hole. We do property management and rentals. And if you ever need a short-term rental, a long-term rental, actually Carrie's in charge of short-term rentals. So if you need some help there, that'd be great. Just call her at 352-753-7500 is the office number, 352-753-7500. My number is 352-572-3796, 352-572-3796. If you hear some noise in the background, we're actually doing some updating and remodeling here. So you're going to be hearing some stuff in the background. But so a couple of things. I want to tell you that there's only 87 listings in the villages right now, 87, which is not counting the historic section, which is like on the east side of the villages and some of the older sections there. Mostly mobile homes, but there's some site built. It's kind of the lower priced homes in the villages. So it's a good entryway into the villages. If you want to be under 200,000, that's the place to be. Over 200,000, very, very competitive. Anything with a view, anything with a pool. Privacy is obviously at a premium right now. So that's something that we really do need to pay attention to, because the prices for all of that is really going up. So it's really incredible what's happening there. So right now we're looking at 87 homes that are available in the villages. So that's just to keep in mind. Like I've said in the previous weeks, we've had up to 420 something homes. Actually, 431 has been the peak last year because of COVID. Things have been built up. The inventory has been building and building and building. And finally, I think, with the vaccine coming out, with a lot of different things kind of letting loose, it's been unbelievable, bananas. In fact, the numbers have been such where we're talking about a 72% decrease in inventory and a 68% increase in sales year to date. So I'm going to repeat that again, 72% decrease in inventory from the high. That's where we're talking about. So yes, only 87 listings on the market. I mean, we're talking about, it's just unbelievable what we're seeing right now. Just the dramatic decrease in inventory, just dramatic decrease from last year. There's been a dramatic decrease every single week this year, pretty much every week, it's been a significant gap. And I'm going to share with you those numbers, what we've seen on particular price, on particular drops in inventory every single week. And I've been calling it because I've been watching it and seeing it. Basically, what we're looking at, let's take a look at that. We're looking at 24. In fact, let me do a share screen with you. I like doing that so it doesn't seem like I'm like making up numbers. I think that's important to really know that. Like, I'm going to share with you some things here, just like, just in case you weren't sure if this was going to be live. You're going to know that actually this is live, right? So this is the MLS. This is straight off MLS, and the numbers that we're looking at. You're looking at 24 new listings and 65 sold properties. That means closed properties. This is the last 7 days, right? This is the last 7 days numbers. And I like doing this because it gives us, right? It says last 7 days here, sold properties 65, closed, right? But coming off the market, I really pay attention to 24 new listings, which isn't a lot. We're actually, we've been typically in the 30s, and sometimes that's attributable to season. And, now that we're entering into the summer months, this may be very typical. This is the atypical number here, 62 pendings. 62 pending properties. That's basically what we're looking at. So, that's a very, very big deal when we're talking about, looking at the differences in inventory. Let me stop sharing. So that gives you an idea of what we're looking at there. 60 something properties coming off the market in it's pretty warm right now. This is like summer in Florida. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in June, July. And that's why I'm doing this every week. It's not overkill right now because the market seems to change every single week, or at least I wouldn't say change. Actually, it's been really consistent over the last, 13 to 15 weeks. However, I think it's important to measure to see if there's going to be any shift, because there's always that question, are we in a housing bubble? Are we in a housing crisis? And in a way, I think we are. And I think the housing crisis is a shortage of housing. I've talked about it over the last several weeks. I've mentioned this periodically, where the millennials now are in that, they're finally buying, right? They're not living in their parents' basements. Maybe some of them are still, but they're buying. And people are living longer, and there's just a housing shortage. And we didn't see enough homes being built over the last 10 years. And this is what's happening across the country, and interest rates being low. And, COVID really exasperated this, because people became tired with what they were living in. They wanted to change. They wanted something different. They wanted something larger. And they wanted some more space. They wanted acreage. They wanted a view. They wanted something different. So there was all these things happening around the country, is really attributed to all these things that have really pushed the real estate market to the next level. And the desire for housing, I think I guess it's kind of like cryptocurrency right now. People have jumped on board, like Bitcoin and that type of thing. There is some of that where people are, FOMO, and fear of losing out or missing out. All these things have attributed to people wanting real estate, and, wanting that second home, wanting that rental property, and looking for places to park their money, 1031 tax exchanges, all these things, all these complicated things. And if you have questions about any of that, just connect with me. But, all of this is really attributed to the shortage. Once again, the last 7 day numbers, as I've said, we're seeing a light number of listings coming on the market, and we're seeing pretty much the same amount of properties coming off the market, which basically means, like, we saw like a 30, 38, 39 listing spread between what came on the market, which to what's left. 3 weeks will basically be left with whatever comes on the market that day. So it's basically kind of like rain in the desert, which means that prices are moving up. Prices will be moving up, specifically here. Now, in certain markets around the country, I have my beat on that, because I'm also a coach for many folks around the country with the Tom Ferry organization. And we talk about what's happening in their market. And there are a handful of markets and we're not talking about New York City. New York City market actually has picked up, and there's more activity than there was last year. But in certain markets, a little bit of a cooling off. And I'm not talking about drop off. We're not talking about, oh my gosh, it's falling off a cliff. A little bit of a cooling off, meaning the same numbers that I'm giving you here, maybe they're talking about 27 properties coming on the market and 27 pending. So it's kind of, they're not losing inventory, right? So it's kind of a evenness going on there, which for many people, that's actually a good thing. A little bit of a cooling off is not necessarily a bad thing in this really, really hot marketplace. So is it the time to buy? I don't know that we're going to see a price drop, right? Going back to Snowbound's question is, are prices, are they going to drop? My anticipation is that we are going to see more of this. I think that, we're hearing, and I'm no expert on inflation, we're hearing those rumors and rumblings about inflation and seeing it, right? We're seeing those things happen with new construction, and that's another issue. Like, some new construction is not super hot right now. I mean, it's super hot, but it's not moving super fast because of supplies and, pricing and that type of thing. But things are still moving forward. We're still seeing new construction move forward, and it's not that bad where nothing's getting built. It's just taking a little bit longer to get things done. And, with that in mind, what that tells me is that with inflation, we're probably going to see a little bit of a interest rate increase, right? And interest rate increase is probably inevitable. I think that's probably going to happen to cool things off. And with that, we'll probably cool the real estate market off a little bit, probably in a good way. It's not always fabulous where we're seeing, I'd like to see buyers be able to buy as opposed to missing out, hearing stories of the best properties, the ones that have a pool, for instance, or the ones that have a view. There's definitely a lot of competition for those homes. So my recommendation is, look, if you're going to buy in this market, you need to be prepared to be in competition. And I've heard this before, like from buyers, where I don't want to compete. I don't want to compete. I don't want to be, I don't want to be in a bidding war. Well, guess what? If it's a good property, you're going to be in a bidding war. It's just going to happen in most cases, almost anywhere around the country. So I think if you can just let go of that, and some people get into an ego thing of like, I just don't want to compete. Like, I don't want to pay more than I need to. And I think we're just in that time period where, first of all, it doesn't matter where you are, you're going to compete against people. You're always going to overpay because the person that wins the bid always pays more than everybody else. Even if you're the only bid, you're still going to pay more than everybody else because nobody else has bid. So that's always the case. So I think having a little bit of understanding about that, but I think that we're looking at a new norm and a new level of pricing, period, not just in the villages, but pretty much everywhere else. So being in that mode of, it's what was 200,000, and for people that have visited us before in the past and then are going to do a revisit, you may think, oh my gosh, what's happened to pricing? I'm not going to buy now. I don't see prices dropping for so many reasons. We're looking at so many people are retiring now. Okay, so we have to look at the retirement end of things. We're in that peak period of baby boomers retiring, so we're seeing peak numbers moving in our direction. I think many people are tired of the snow. I think a lot of people are moving from the West. We're seeing more West Coast people moving in our direction, California, Oregon, and even Nevada and Alaska. We're seeing, and not that they're coming in droves, but we're seeing more of those people in our community. I think part of it's politics, part of it is COVID, not wanting to be locked down anymore. I think part of it is taxes, part of it is hedging against the Western real estate market that's really just kind of not only has gone through the roof like everywhere else, but we're talking about differences in pricing. The value you can get here is pretty good, and I think for the people that understand or are knowledgeable about this marketplace, I think a lot of people have, like, I talk to my experienced people around the country, but my experienced people here to not have certain glasses, like the experienced agents. They know the market extremely well, and they're used to seeing values be different. In other words, have the values on a Courtyard Villa or a Lantana or an Iris or whatever model there is. We're used to seeing it be here. And now with the shift in inventory, significant shift, we're not talking about a little shift, a big shift in inventory, values are here. So my belief is that this is a new norm in pricing. So don't let that keep you from buying. It just, it just is. And I don't expect a big price drop or housing crash. There might be a housing leveling off, because there are just more people in the United States that need to buy a home. I think that's really what we're seeing, the big push. So once again, just to recap, the inventory, I think it was 67 properties that have gone under contract, and then 27, I believe it was 27 properties that have come on the market. So still a big gap between what's come on the market and what left the market in the last 7 days on MLS. On the flip side, just a little bit of transparency. Obviously, we don't control all of the properties here in the Villages. We do have access to all the properties on this site, buy, sell the Villages, as you can see here. Not just in the Villages, but we have access to actually all the way up to Alachua County, Gainesville now, that's been added on this site. Also Ocala, Bellevue, Summerfield, goes all the way down to Orlando and Lake County and the Leesburg and Wildwood and the surrounding areas around the Villages, but also Tampa and all the way down the south, further south on the West Coast, all the way down to Fort Myers. So absolutely lots of areas that you can actually search on and buy, sell the Villages. But going back, we don't have all access to all the properties in the Villages. Obviously, the Village is the developer. They're not realtors. They're not under the umbrella of being under NAR, National Association of Realtors. They are licensed agents. They're licensed, but they don't fall under the ethical umbrella of NAR and the typical MLS and what everybody else in the world understands to be realtors. There is a difference. So, and the difference is that they sell new construction there, and they do have a portion of the resales. And the portion of resales, basically, we're looking at, they actually have slightly less, I believe. And you could check that out on their website. They've got access to that, or you can get the app. It's another segment of inventory that's out there, but they're struggling for inventory as well. And I think the inventory struggle is not because people are not putting their homes on the market. That's the good news about our area. There's a lot of turnover here. And the turnover is not because people don't like it here, although there is a segment, people that do move and say, okay, I don't, Villages is not for me. But there is a lot of turnover in the sense that either for health reasons or getting closer to family, there's a lot of transition that happens here more than most. So that's the beauty of this area. As far as looking for property, we're going to see more inventory come on the market. But right now, for the time being, there is no evidence of it shifting, which means that there's going to be a ton of competition for homes. Maybe that changes later on this year. I'm hoping it does a little bit, but I still think it's going to be if it's not, right now it's white hot. It's still going to be very, very warm, if not hot, moving forward. So ran a little bit longer today, but there's a lot to say. I do want to cover at some point in the near future, some items. I'm looking at the real estate sales contract, and we're covering some of that moving forward. I think that's going to be very helpful. In fact, I'll just give you one tip in closing. I'm going to look at this at the sales contract. Whenever you're talking to your realtor, whoever you're using, whether it's one of us here at Realty Executives or someone else, check marking it's in the assignability portion. I think allowing yourself the flexibility of may assign but not be released. Remember that, may assign but not be released. That means you can change it into your spouse's name or into a trust, and it gives you the flexibility to do that without needing and requiring the seller's permission after you go under contract, right? Doesn't mean that you're going to assign it, but it gives you the flexibility of changing the names without getting the seller's approval. If you don't check mark that box, because there's some other boxes you can assign it but not be released, or be released, or you may not assign the contract, which is what a lot of people do, which I think is a mistake, because if you do need to change the name midstream before closing, then you've got to wait till closing, and then you've got to pay the title company a little bit more money to change the name, and there's no reason for that, as long as you check mark may assign but not be released. So just a little bit of a tidbit on the sales contract. Any further questions, you can call me 352-572-3796, 352-572-3796. Please subscribe. I'm really hoping more people will subscribe. That'd be great. And that way you'll get notified anytime there is a session going on. I try to keep this to Friday afternoons, but I'm expanding this to other times. I'm also going to be, like I said before, talking about extra tips that you need to be aware of if you're buying or selling, that are really going to be valuable. It's not just, okay, you need to plant palm trees in front of your house to make it look better and you can get more money. It's going to be more value and more content that I think I want my audience and my tribe here to really grab onto and find some value too. So with that, hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. Take care.